Hi, I'm Joe with Gramophone, and we're here with Adam from Coastal Source. And Adam, you have an amazing product line that we're really starting to do a lot of business with. So could you maybe kind of introduce us a little bit to what Coastal Source is all about?
Absolutely. So Coastal Source, first and foremost, everything was designed down in the Florida Keys, in the fabulous Florida Keys. All right? And down there's a company called Design Source, who's an estate building firm. And Design Source does these massive outdoor projects. And Coastal Source was born from a Design Source project that they were working on, where the outdoor lighting that was out there was just failing constantly. All right, so it was kind of a need that was down in that area because the environment is so tough on all of this stuff, right? So they developed our first bullet uplight that we have. And from there, Franco Descagno, who's the president and founder of Coastal Source, loves audio, ran an audio store back in the 80s, got into building speakers. He's a tinkerer, an engineer. He loves that stuff. He took that passion and brought it into the audio line that you see before us today. Our Bollard speakers that go in the landscape have phenomenal performance, outperforms all the typical point source speakers like little bullet speakers that you see out there because we get a much bigger dispersion pattern out of them, and they're really meant to defy the elements, and that's why we have our tagline is Defy the Elements, because if it can survive down in that atmosphere down in the Florida Keys, it's going to survive anywhere for you. Hot weather, cold weather, it needs to be out there. The drivers and the materials that are in these things need to withstand all of that all the time, and the outdoor material. This is actually a process that called rotomold. Yeti coolers are made this way. High-end whitewater kayaks are made from this kind of material. Very strong, very rigid. It's also a color-through design, which means when it's in the landscape bed, we have to worry about things like weed whackers, John Deere tractors coming around and maybe possibly scratching these things. So if that happens to this, it's very hard to see that because it's the same color all the way through. So not only is it cosmetically going to last and not fade for you, all of the drivers and the materials are going to be handled that high temperature and also that low temperature, depending on where you are. So with our speakers, we can cover very large areas or very small areas, and the performance of these speakers are to deliver really great bass at high volumes and low volumes to give you that full sound no matter where you are in your backyard.
And you've done some training with the engineers at Gramophone to be able to design the right system for the right application.
Yep, yeah, our full team that we have a design services team where you can give them plans of the backyard and they'll help you design a lighting, audio, or lighting and audio job for you. Come up with a full plan to show your client. You get a audio recording from my design team talking about the project, letting you know why we did certain things. But I think also the biggest thing I want to make sure everybody understands is our cabling system that we have. So at the heart of our system, the backbone of our system is this cable right here. This we call our coastal connector or a CC cable. And what's so special about it, it's 12 gauge 2 conductor. The way that it goes together, as you can see, we have a male end and a female end. It's also keyed on one side, so it can't get screwed up. It can't go in any other way than the proper way. When you put this together, and I'm going to hand tighten it. I don't need any tools to tighten it. Just hand tighten it as much as you can. And here, grab that end, get a pull, go, keep on, go, 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 go. Very strong. It's going to take 300 pounds of force about to break that connection. This is IP68 rated, which means it can lay in standing water up to 3 meters for life. Okay, it's airtight, water resistant, and it's going to last you a lifetime. We actually also solder all of the wire that's in here. Just in case it gets nicked, you only have to replace this section. You don't have to worry about that where it got cut or damaged, wicking down the line and ruining an entire length of copper. So, because this goes in the ground, who wants to bury this or unbury this?
Right.
The other thing we have actually is this phenomenal cable here we just recently came out with called our 8C connection.
Wow.
So we have 8 conductors total in here, all right? And what a lot of people use this for is their main connection or their main trunk line from the house amplifier all the way out to the landscape bed. And then you put this on the end of the 8C cable, and I break out into my individual cables. So I can run speakers, I can run lighting with this, just making it simpler for the installation team to do a much better job and only have to worry about one cable.
So this is not an audio-only cable. You can also run your lighting that way.
Yeah, at the core of it, there's conductors in there. So we can use them for lighting, we can use them for audio. Just with this cable, we can't put lighting and audio on one cable, but you can use this for audio or use this for lighting.
Now, you've got quite a few different products here.
Yes.
Without going too deep into it,
sure.
Can you kind of give us a little bit about what each of these is really sort of intended for, what the differences are, how they get displayed,
absolutely,
in and install, and so forth?
Certainly. So we'll start down here actually with my smaller speaker here. This is called our 8.0 Mini. And 8.0 just means that it's 8 inches in diameter. And these are some of like for smaller little areas, more intimate areas, maybe a small patio area where you're sitting and eating, nice, comfortable, but it has our CC connection on the back of it. And we bury virtually all of our speakers in the ground. So what you see in front of you, you might see a tall speaker, but you're only going to end up seeing about half of that, because we're going to bury it to keep it secure in the ground.
It's important, so cosmetically it's going to look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would assume, especially on the more bass capable ones, that's also actually a performance enhancement. It's got the bottom section.
Absolutely. This next one here is our two-way, which is a nice sounding speaker. It has a 7x10 woofer in it, so you get a little bit more bass out of it. It's kind of fine again for a smaller area, but this is our #1 selling speaker here, which is the 10.0 three-way Bollard. And that is because, to your point, Joe, it has an 8-inch subwoofer built into it, and it has the 6.5-inch and 1-inch aimable tweeter. Now this elliptical design is done for a very specific reason. It helps water shed off the front of it, and you see this little weak hole right here? That's the drain. That's where all the water comes out, okay? Now these grills do come off, and there's 3 layers to them, like an ice cream sandwich, so you can take them apart, seasonally, spray them off, get the pollen out of them, keep them clean, keep them looking good. Also, the other 2 things that are really great about our speakers is once you install these and bury these in the ground, sometimes you want to make a fine-tuned adjustment just to be able to turn it just right to get into that sweet spot. Well, I can simply loosen these screws on the side and turn it like R2-D2, and then I can aim that speaker beautifully where it needs to go. Also, the tweeter is adjustable inside there too, again, helping you get that perfect sweet spot, because always fine-tune adjustments at the end of the install are important. So this is now our flagship speaker. This is the 12.0 line source speaker. This is why that 8C cable I showed you earlier exists, because we use it for this setup. We actually come off the amplifier into this speaker. We go out of this speaker, into the woofer, out of the woofer, into the other speaker. So we daisy chain them together, making wiring simpler too. But in here is a line source or line array style speaker, and it uses a waveguide. Up top here, you have your near field or very large waveguide. So for near field listening, it sounds really good. As you get down lower, it starts to squirt the sound a little bit. Think of like pressuring, like almost like a, a waveguide pulling that in the middle section for midfield listening. And then down low is our far field for far field listening. So these are meant to cover a very large area, but at near, mid, or far, it all sounds the same because of that patented waveguide that we have built into there. And we took out these circular dome tweeters, and we're using what are called ribbon tweeters. There's 12 of them that go straight down the middle here. Ribbons in the audio community are very well known for their accuracy, smooth sound, and you certainly get all of that in here. Then we have a ton of mid-bass drivers, and not an 8-inch woofer, but a 10-inch woofer on the bottom of this thing. So these are phenomenal speakers for that customer that's looking for that absolute perfect outdoor experience. Trust me, there's nothing like them in the industry right now.
Sounds fantastic. And I would assume that this guy is a subwoofer for the big applications?
Yep. This is really paired well with the line source speakers, but it can be paired with any of our Bollards with ease. It does have the connection on it, like I said, to go in and out and daisy chain together with the line source system, but I can put this subwoofer with any of my Bollard speakers. I mean, our landscape speakers are known for their great sound, but they generally go in the landscape. Even though we do have ways to mount them on hardscapes and other applications, they sometimes didn't look the best in the hardscape area. Now with our Razor speakers, they're made of extruded aluminum as opposed to the roto mold design here. They're only 4 inches deep, 10.5 inches wide, and they just vary in size. And we've taken the sound quality of what you see in front of you and smashed it into these to make them easy to install. And they look beautiful on the wall. They can go in corners where the wall meets the wall. They're meant to mount also where the wall meets the ceiling, so like eave applications. And the sound quality that you get out of these is just, you would not expect out of a small speaker like this. Many speaker manufacturers have tried to make a thin panel speaker like this, and where they failed is bass. So a couple new technologies in this driver, and the big one is our acoustic fractal waveguide. Okay, so similar to the waveguide that we're using over here, okay, it's another technology that we put on top of the mid bass to help smooth out that mid bass and create more bass inside the cabinet. Also, the real magic behind these speakers is our amplifiers. Our amplifiers are tuned specifically to make these speakers sound the way that they do. Without our amplifiers, it wouldn't be possible.
DSP in your amplifier?
Absolutely, DSP, specific profiles for every single speaker. And also, when you order our speakers, we're gonna want to know where that installation is happening. Is it just going straight on the wall? Is it going in the corners? Because we're gonna compensate for boundaries. Okay, when you put a speaker in the corner, it reacts very differently than just mounting it flush on the wall. So we wanna make sure we get that performance right.
And that's where your engineers and Gramophone's engineers talking together can really work out exactly what you need.
Absolutely. Oh,
Adam,
yeah.
I would assume, Adam, that this is a paintable?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
paintable finish. You could do, an auto grade finish on it, absolutely, if you want. And the products speak for themselves, and you have to hear it. Reach out to Gramophone and they can schedule a demo. Get one of these, vans to your house, okay, and do a demo. Our lighting systems are going to last virtually a lifetime for you. The investment, there's a lot of value in Coastal Source, okay? You provide a great system and solution for it.
Adam, thank you for joining us.
Very welcome.
We'd urge you to go to gramophone.com so that you can see Coastal Source and all of our wonderful brands there. We'd also urge you to shop at Sky by Gramophone, where you'll get a secure checkout, fast and free shipping, straight to your door. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.